Hey, what's up, everyone? Mark Rosen here, and it is 40-yard dash season. If you're a football player looking to improve their 40-yard dash, this is going to be a great video for you to just get a little bit more understanding of some of the main concepts we talk about when it comes to running a faster 40. I know a lot of guys are coming to the end of their football seasons, and it's time to start getting ready for their upcoming recruitment or trying to get to the next scouting or trying to get to the next level in whatever that ends up suiting for you. So I think a great way to be able to do that is by understanding how to run a faster 40. This is kind of the gold standard when it comes to what a lot of teams are looking for, whether it's college, pros, when they're scouting and looking to see what athletes are able to do when it comes to their speed and their top speed. And this is a good way to be able to see your acceleration, your transition, as well as your top speeds. And I'm going to go into some things that, to me, end up being important when it comes to just the coaching and what I kind of follow. We start off here with Eli Manor from Stanford, and we could just see a lot of good distance covered here. I like the shin angles. I like the landing position. A lot of times those first 3-4 steps, it's hard to be able to maintain landing on the front part of the foot. I think he does a good job here of his transition as well. Solid arms as well there, 4.47. And I think, what stands out when you're watching the combine for some people that may be wanting to go to the NFL one day is you got to be able to run under 4.6 for sure, but really under 4.5. This one is a little bit sloppier here. We can see a lot of height with the foot back behind, really forward lean, a lot of out of control movement with the arms. Strong push off though. I'm not a huge fan of having so much backside mechanics. I think when it comes to running and having a good smooth running form, you want to be able to land much more on the front part of the foot, which requires you to eliminate some of that backside mechanics. 4.46 though, and that's the thing is, like, even with not great mechanics, guys are running 4.4s. That's how talented a lot of these guys are. We got Isaiah Bond here. Isaiah Bond talked about beating Xavier Worthy's time when he first started, so it was definitely interesting to be able to see him during the combine. Really clean during his start though. I love the front side mechanics. What they do at Texas obviously pays off when it comes to their speed mechanics, because there's a lot of guys that run very clean there, and that was another example of that with Isaiah Bond. 4.4, low 4.4. And again, we'll just kind of go right through these. With Sam Brown, I didn't necessarily love his arm swing. Looked like he was a little bit cramped at the beginning, had a lot of lift with his feet back behind early on. Sorry, this is a kind of hard to be able to control it, but got to his top end speed pretty good. Again, don't love his arms necessarily and how tight they are on the front side. Still ran 4.4. So again, another guy who I think could be a little bit more clean out of the get-go with his acceleration, but still ended up running a 4.4. Not a great time here, but he's a little bit taller. He actually is doing well in the NFL right now for the Broncos. 6'2", 204. Didn't have a good angle at the beginning, but gets a lot of distance. Like he ran 4.6, 6'2", but he picks up a lot of distance really early on. Maybe his top speed can improve a little bit, but still not a bad time for his size, for him being over 200 pounds, 6'2", and he just really long with that stride, which I think ends up being more beneficial when it comes to playing at a high level in the NFL. Luther Burden 4.42. And that's what I see is, like, a lot of these guys, some of them run good times, but they just don't cover much ground in their steps. Shamir Dyke, really, really fast here. You can see with him, excellent job with like those first few steps and being able to cover a lot of distance. He's really far with his backside mechanics. Like, he's really high with his backside mechanics back there, but he starts with his feet really far apart and he just gets a ton of distance in those first 3 steps, and is a little bit on the heels, is able to transition well. I think he's one of those guys that could probably work better from a 2-point stance than a 3-point stance. Still ran 4.3 though, so it's like, obviously he has the top speed. Not bad, just pretty clean. Daquan Felton 4.53. This is one where it's like really tight with his distance, his stride distance, not covering a lot of range there. 4.38, but again, I think that could be cleaner when it comes to the front side mechanics. Matthew Golden, a little bit on the back part of the feet as he's accelerating, but very clean with that transition. Like I said, the guys at Texas, look at that front side mechanics, really, really clean. There's some things that could maybe be better with his front side when you compare like Xavier Worthy to Matthew Golden. I'd say Xavier Worthy has a cleaner first 10 yards, and that made it so then he ran a faster time. When we're looking at these top athletes, it ends up just being a few steps, a few hundredths of a second ends up being all the difference. You could talk about Noah Lyles and winning a gold medal and doing that in a thousandth of a second. So a lot of times it just ends up being these small little differences. Trey Harris, another clean run in terms of his front side. So again, like we looked at Ty Felton, who ran 4.38, and that's a better time. But with his mechanics and how kind of limited he is as he starts to open up, I don't think it translates as well. I didn't look to see where he's at now, but like Trey Harris, he's playing for the Chargers, having a good rookie season. 4-5, played at Ole Miss. So I think some of these things like translate better to actually playing football, because obviously the time is one thing, but like how you executed the time can also end up being something that is highly regarded for these top teams, these top scouts. 4.47, good time. 6.4, I want to say Higgins is. There's another one where it's like runs a fast time, but just very short with his steps. So he's just wasting a lot of energy here. 4.58, it's still fast. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are watching this saying, hey, I'd take a 4.58. But again, for being 6'2", running 4.58, and just not covering a lot of distance, taking a lot of steps. Same thing here, Jimmy Horn, needed to really be in the 4.3s. Look at how much height he has with his feet back behind. He has a lot of forward lean, which is great, but he's just landing really far back. He has a lot of time spent on the ground during his acceleration and ends up running 4.47. Not a bad time, but, with his speed and what he does on the field, you're kind of expecting a 4.3. So some of the times it's like, what are your expectations like for your times? Torrey Horton, he did really well. Running 4.46 is good because he's kind of like a Deebo Samuel type guy. Big guy, can run the ball well. So it's a different type of thing. We're in 4.46 in comparison to Jimmy Horn running 4.47, but he's a little bit more of like a smaller speedster type guy. So you're expecting him to be in like the 4.3 range. 4.58, again, not a lot of distance on here. Similar thing with Tej Johnson, really fast guy, but doesn't have great acceleration mechanics here. Really like the first step, but you can see how much forward lean he ends up getting. So he gets stuck on the ground with this step, and he's pushing, and he's just kind of all over the place. And then once he gets control, it's great. But 4.55, he could have got himself in a lot better draft position, I'm sure, if he would have ran a faster time. Here's another one, Josh Kelly. He ran 4.7, and just has a lot of wasted motion when it comes to the top speed. Opens up well, looks really smooth. But then as he gets going here, he's just spending a lot of time with his foot behind. See how much lift he's getting? That's one of the big things that I'm starting to do, is just like, let's eliminate the backside mechanics and let's maximize the front side mechanics so then we can control foot strike. Once you start landing on the heel, you get yourself in kind of a tough position when it comes to horizontal push, right? Because you want to be covering distance when it comes to running the 40-yard dash. You don't want to be stuck with your foot on the ground very long. So if you're on the ground, you're not moving forward, you're on the ground. Okay, and so you want to use your foot contact to very quickly land, stabilize, push back forward, and just make that kind of the strategy for how you're able to continue to accelerate. We missed Andrew Armstrong on the first one, 4.5. I liked his first few steps. He didn't end up going too high. He had a good low heel recovery, and I like his top speed. Again, just landing too much on the heel. So you want to be able to just work that transition. I don't think he transitioned very well where he's here, and then he popped up really early. And once you pop up a lot of times, especially if you're not getting all the way through with those hips, then you end up starting to land more on like the heels, back part of the foot. I'm going to go through these since we watched all these guys already. Got another group here. We'll just go through a few more. And really just to be able to kind of see, and I would look to see what works well for you when it comes to like the setup, right? Every single time we've seen these guys get going, we've seen a wide range of different setups. But one of the things that to me is very clear is that first movement wants to be kind of dropping that front knee. That's a good time for 3. I really like Jalen Lane. I'd say of all the people that I watched, his was my favorite in terms of the mechanics. and his ability to execute. And I like to, kind of end up showing this so you can see, he's putting one foot on the line. This other foot is back behind his foot, a little bit of extra space. Looks like he kind of brought it back forward. So he's 1 foot back behind the line. This is what I usually teach is you want to be 1 foot behind the line here. And then you want to have 2 feet. And then you could see him just scooting over 1 foot. So now he's in the right spot for himself. And then that first movement, this was the idea, is like we need to really drop that knee. We need to get that good shin angle. And when we land with that first step, we got to get that foot down as fast as possible. We want to be able to maintain that very forward shin angle there. And you can see he's very quick off the ground. He lands, pushes right back off, lands, pushes right back off. And he's just really emphasizing the front side there. Doesn't have a lot of backside mechanics. And notice how he just really starts to open up. I really like that front side, how he's landing on the front part of the foot too. Reaching, pulling, reaching, pulling. Last couple steps, he kind of maybe landed out in front a little bit and probably could have gotten his hips through a little bit more. But 4.35, solid time. Another solid front side mechanics here. 4.41, Georgia 2. They have a lot of guys that have good mechanics. I would say Virginia Tech has a guy that teaches good mechanics. I would say Texas definitely does. We've seen multiple guys come out of there with these really fast times, so they're definitely doing stuff well when it comes to teaching mechanics. A little bit hunched over here with his speed. Again, not getting much distance. Look at how he has good turnover, but he's just not getting any push. Look at his push off the ground. You can see he's keeping that toe down rather than getting that motion going forward. You really want to have that toe facing back so then you can get that full range coming all the way forward. Not bad here on the left, but that right one's definitely limited. 4.60. I didn't know exactly what his time was, but you could just tell it wasn't going to be, a great time. And again, I know there's a lot of you guys that are watching this saying, hey, a 4.6 would be great for me. And I would agree that, some of you guys might be a little bit slower, but just being able to see some of the technique and some of the flaws in the technique should help you. Again, a lot of backside mechanics. You can see he's doing a better job with the push and getting the foot up and behind, but he's just lifting too much. He's not pushing forward. He's just lifting up. 4.58. Again, solid time, but in the NFL, they're looking for low 4.5s, really mid 4.4s, especially for, high level guys that are going to get drafted in those first 3 rounds, and a lot of good tape, right? So it's a combination of having good times and good tape that ends up being a big thing. 4.43, the solid time for how big he is, especially, right? But you can see he did a good job keeping his weight underneath him. I like this one too, Jalen Noel. Not a very big guy, 194. Watch his front knee though, and look at how much separation he has between his front foot and his back foot. He's about one of his feet away from that front line. He's got that front arm a little bit outside that back leg, drives that back knee down. Look at that shin angle, and then look, lands, gets that foot down, drives the other leg, gets the knee up, and is striking on the front part of the foot and maintains a very forward foot contact and drives up those knees. Look at that knee drive. Look at the strength of those hip flexors. Getting those hips all the way through. Well executed run, 4.39. Very, very respectable for his size. Look, 5'10", 194. Out there running 4.3. That's a really, really respectable time. Not bad here. Good turnover speed, 4.42. Again, Arian Smith, Georgia guy, really good with that acceleration. Gets a little bit high, a little early with his speed recovery, but still 4.36, really good spot. Rock Taylor, arms are all right, not getting through all the way. Again, not a tremendous reach there. I think that the reach could definitely be better. 4.52, again, not bad time. I think that there's a lot of people that could benefit from having a 4.52, right? If you're 16 and you run 4.52, it's a lot different than when you're 23 and run 4.52. So, some of this ends up being just a translation over time. I really like Tesla here. Big push, big forward action, stays down, stays patient. I think we can get a little bit better reach on the front side with his arms. 4.4. Again, solid time. Dante Thornton again. Watch him with his reach. Watch his first few steps. Drops that front knee. Look at that range he gets. Look at that low heel recovery. Fast off the ground. Big knee drive. I like that arm action, pulling straight forward, straight back, and then slowly gets into his top speed. Look, notice how it takes him multiple steps. He's not popping up his head. He's staying patient, really lifting up now with his toes, with his feet, and very quick with that foot contact. Super clean 4.3. And that's what it is. I mean, you know, if you're running 4.5 when you're 16, 17, then you should be running 4.3 when you are going into the NFL Combine, right? So that's kind of the idea. You know, even low 4.6, that should end up translating as you get older. Give yourself another 2 to 3 years of training. You're going to be able to just get better with your overall speed and just the execution. That's the thing about this 40-yard dash is these guys have been training for this for 3 months when they get into it. So, you know, you're going against guys that are running these very, very fast times because they train for it. 6'3", 200. We'll take a look at the steps here. I usually tell people 4 steps, 5 yards, 7 steps, 10 yards, 12 steps, 20 yards, and then you want to be at about 20, 20 and a half for the whole thing. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 at 5, 6, or 5, 6, 7, a little bit past 10, 8, 9, 10, 11, a little bit past 20 with 12. So he's in a great spot here to be able to get 20. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yep, under 20. 4.59. All right, so typically I say if you can get under 20, you're going to run at least 4.55, like somewhere in those general area. A little bit longer foot contact time, things like that. 4.59, you know, still, it's a good estimation for your times. It's a good way to be able to kind of guesstimate where you're going to be at. You want to be able to execute that. It's a lot harder when it comes to actually doing it. If you watch the video, you're thinking, okay, yeah, I can run 20 yards or 40 yards in 20 steps. Okay, so it's basically 2 yards per step, right? But when you actually do it, it's a lot harder than you realize, especially when it comes to having a quick foot contact time. You could do it by reaching and everything, but that's just not clean when it comes to your mechanics. You got to be clean with how you're executing the run. Arms are a little bit tight here. Backside mechanics a little bit long, 463. You know, so you could just see the difference in who's running a clean time, you know, who's running the 4.3s and who's running the 4.4s. You know, another guy, 4.47. You know, that's not really, LeJontay Wester here was a guy that was able to be more of a speedster, not a super big guy, but look at how little steps he's taking right here. 2, 3, 4. He's got 4 steps in under 5 yards. So he's just not picking up very much distance. 7, 8, 9. Like, yeah, he's got great turnover. And once he gets going, it's so clean that he's able to make up for it and still runs 4.47. But it's like if he got a great push, if he had great acceleration like we see from, you know, some of these top guys, Xavier Worthy type, even Ricky White here, you know, look how they're pushing forward, Jalen Noel, then you would have a very, very different time. 4.62 here, just because he wasn't able to transition, right? Watch his transition. I really like his first 2 steps, 3, 4, really driving out here. Okay, now as he gets to his top speed, now he starts leaving that foot back behind. He's not getting out in front well, landing on the heels. I would even tell him, like, just stay forward, right? There's no reason, just stay in this position. Why go all the way up here? It didn't change anything, except he just got his weight back. He started landing more on his heels, so it's going to take more time off the ground. He could definitely run low 4.5s with that acceleration, with that start. He should be in the low 4.5s. Not a ton of range there. 4.49. Let's look at what Jalen Lane again. This is going to be a 4.3 or 4.38 on this one second time. But again, really like to see how he gets set up with his feet. I think he did it for a while. I liked how he was like kind of asking questions with the guy. So it was like he's very controlled. He's very locked in. He's taking control of the situation. He's not going to be rushed. He's going to take his time. And then here, boom, big push off. And look, he had a little bit of a lean, right? So he gets here, he's kind of leaning forward a little bit before he gets that hand to come off the ground. All these subtle things make a difference, right? Because it's the difference between, you know, 4.35 and 4.30 is huge. You hear 4.30, you're like, dang, that guy is insanely fast. This might be one of the fastest guys out of everybody. 4.35 is, yeah, it's still really fast, but now you're, you know, kind of in a group of other guys that are also 4.35. Okay, but you can see a little bit of a lean, and then he lifts up the hand, does a good job still pushing, quick off the ground. lands on the front part of the foot, nice and high with his legs. I think he started landing maybe a little bit too far back, a little bit too early, started lifting a little bit too early here. Should have stayed in that drive phase for longer, but got to a nice ride there, 4.38. And that's, again, why I say, like, Jalen Lane, I really like how he gets to his top speed, like what it looks like when he's at his top speed is very smooth, very nice position. Again, so 4.41 here with Levitt, we're looking at all the top times, and he's number 7, right, with a 4.41. So a lot of fast guys are coming out of the college football every single year. So you got to be able to run fast. This is just for receivers. There's also a whole nother set for defensive backs. This is one of the fastest running back classes as well. So we'll do a couple of these, but hopefully being able to see some of these top guys run makes it so now you can better understand how to accelerate a little bit more effectively. I think it's cool to be able to see these top guys. I think it's awesome that the NFL Network puts this on. If you want to look more into our 40-yard dash program, we offer a great deal, I think, where we send you a laser timing system. We give you all the programming. We give you breakdowns. We give you all the necessary information. I can give you weight gain too, help you put on some weight, get your nutrition right. But really the benefit comes from the coaching. The benefit comes from the tutorial videos, help you understand what to do, what not to do when it comes to your setup, your acceleration. If you can get your acceleration right, a lot of people can, that are in the program right now, they're getting 2-3 tenths off of their 40 basically immediately by just starting to improve within some of the basic mechanics of their start of their acceleration, and that makes a big difference when it comes to their ability to run faster. So thanks guys for watching. If you like the information, click that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, check out the description, and we'll talk to you soon.